Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, Dhamma friends, as we all know, we are going to start another question and answer session. We'll start with the written questions and invite any further question as time permits. We'll invite Lakshmi to present written questions to start the session, please.
Thank you, Venerable Sir. There are 13 questions, of which 2 will not be read.
How many?
2.
How many questions?
13 questions, so we will read 11. Dear Venerable Bhante, walking meditation, primary object, my feet. Details, I focus on both my feet as left and right, and that's how I labeled it first. Next, I went into fine details as heel, arch and toes of each foot. Experience, feelings. My left foot while walking felt heavier than my right one. Also, from my heel to arch, I felt I had a sharp pain triggering on the same foot. It wasn't a hindrance to me anyway. My right foot was very light, like a feather of a swan. The toes on the same foot felt guiding the direction that I should step each moment. Next, when I started to have a clean mental picture of both my feet functioning to take me from one end to the other very slowly and carefully. This way, I could keep my attention thoroughly on my both feet for about 40 minutes. I didn't see external visuals like past few days, though both my eyes were open and looking 60 degrees down and about 5 feet and 4 inches ahead of me. Like last few days, the sounds from the surroundings didn't come that clearly to my ears. I felt the background was mute. This way I could focus keenly on my primary object a further 15 minutes, almost, and I was ready to experience my primary object. It is no more to be seen. My mind went blank for a great 20 minutes as I felt. Secondary object. I felt subtle inner chatter coming through my skull and tell me you have been pivoting on your right toe. That made me so focused on how I turned exactly at each end of the sand path. This pivoting point swapped from biggest right toe to my left sole working continuously as an axis to my turning back. I had been focusing on this for another good 10 minutes when a bell rang in my ears to ask me to focus on my primary object again. Next, anyway, I had a vacuum in my mind with no primary object other than my secondary focus on pivoting points, which were my one particular right toe and my whole left sole. I was ready not to get carried away by any hindrance beforehand, and I wasn't feeling troubled to go back to a primary object again. This lasted only about 5 to 10 minutes, and all I could feel is I have entirely given up on labeling, which had reduced my burden more than half. At the same time, primary object could be seen as they were, my feet. Finally, I felt my whole body feeling lighter, painless, and more relaxed in a non-sleepy state. Question. Please guide me as to how I should take my walking meditation experience today further to the better side, and please educate me on my new experience if there is any defect on my side that I need to further rectify. Note. I am very happy and delighted about my today's experience as I went through fire and water to hush my blabbering mind yesterday. And voila, today is fantastic. Thank you, Bhante. May you be happier.
So whenever you become skillful in materiality, you are being invited or exposed to immaterial part, basically feelings, perception and the volitional activities. So this letter is specifically mentioned, I am relieved because I have no perception, I am not labeling, I am not recognizing things by the marks that I have put. So some people get a huge relief by not labeling, not recognizing, not naming. All the problems are due to naming for that people. Some other people, feelings. And something to say that my left leg is heavier than the right leg. Right leg is like a feather. So that also some kind of an example, the way you present, how much you feel and how much you deal with the feelings, that is hedonic kind of a tendency. The other possible part is volitional activities. What should I do? How can I become smart? What to do the next? That appear like a question. Bhante, what should I do? So this is the way mind become crafty. So which one is more pulling you, whether it's hedonic feelings or perception or volitional activity, you have to just continue. All these are make you eccentric. Just be aware. As far as I am not labeling, as far as not I am recognizing, as far as I am letting things to happen, I am relieved. But the hedonic part may be partly, and the volitional part, and this is, you are learning who am I. So advice is, instruction is safely, please continue this. If there is no any hindrances to continue this timetable, you are lucky. Just carry on. While furthering, you will reiterate whether you are a perception type of person or feeling type of person or volitional type of person. Keep your eyes open, vigilant, continue to happen. So then you behave like a CID police. Let the robbers to play. You never recognize with your uniform. You just observe how things are happening. Now you have already recognized the perception. As far as I am not labeling anything, no storytelling. The Buddha mentioned, sanya nidanani papancha sankha. Due to your perception only, the storytelling happens. Fabrication happens. Moment you learn the art of not labeling, not putting name, no storytelling. But still the hedonic pull, the feeling side and the volitional side may be. So observe it as if you are looking at yourself. Just sit in front of a mirror and observe yourself. It's fantastic. It is so hilarious. It is so scout-like or girl guide-like. Just see, and you are not learning yourself. You are learning the human being. So this is the part we call spiritual side, the religious side or philosophical side. But this becomes more organic because you are observing yourself. So please continue without any more instruction, just to see the same.
Most respected Venerable Bhante, here's my report on sitting meditation. I sat cross-legged and focused on the primary object being the breath. I verified mindfulness by noticing in-breath inside left nostril and out-breath above the upper lip. I was able to feel breath stronger than yesterday. I noticed that my right nostril was blocked. Other observations. There were thoughts coming in. I identified them as past experience, projections into future, me thinking abstract thoughts. I was able to keep my awareness between breath, thoughts and sounds. Today I saw an abstract animation while in meditation. It's not an image with shape and color, but appeared as a very clear idea. I did not think this and haven't seen before also. It was a human-like figure going down a playground slide. Immediately afterwards, another figure sliding down beneath it from the opposite side. But there was no slide. During 2 separate sittings, I remember a flower going backwards and squeezing into a box and a cup floating in front of my face. Animations without details such as shape, color, characteristics are very clear. Is this a creation of mind, me thinking without knowing? I apologize about sharing what makes no sense to me. Please be kind enough to advise. While meditating, I felt head and body move forward and sideways without me doing it. One of my legs were giving a bit of pain, and there were tingling sensations on my face and on an ear. While I was able to observe the pain in leg change pain in leg change into stiffness and became warm. I couldn't do the same with tingling sensation and wiped the area with hand. It happened yesterday also. I find that I have more tolerance for pain and stiffness than tingling, itchy, pricking sensations. Is this an indication, understanding who am I? After some time into meditation, I was able to stay still. On the background of mind, like peripheral vision when walking, I felt a wave in the shape of a hula hoop descend on me. This happened 3 or 4 times. The mind was calm. I was aware of the breath and sounds and thoughts as they became prominent, more than the breath. The circle-like waves were different to each other slightly by how it felt, but I could not observe any difference of the background of mind before or after or in between the waves. It felt pleasant and joyful in a simple way. I thought that it may reinforce the calmness. There were no movement of body or feeling of aches and pains at this stage. I was aware while I changed leg position, and lastly of the fans being turned off from the sound of switch and fan blades coming to a halt. Thank you so much for answering my questions. I first thought of not reporting, but later thought of getting advice. May the Noble Triple Gem bless you.
Only one question asking that regarding the animation. And if you take time for Potthapada Sutta, it's a very long story and it's a very nice episode. The one day the Buddha is giving a casual visit to the Pottapada's monastery. He is not a Buddhist, but it's a good friend of Buddha. And then he's asking, Bhante, we had a very nice conference and we were thinking about this perception, Abhidhanya Nirodha. And people were coming out with different questions and answers and opinions, but I felt, miss you, because had you been there, you would have given the conclusion. But people were perplexed. They came out with 4 ideas. Our animation, our perception are happening. One thing is, one person told it has no any base, it just come and just go. Second person told that is my soul. When I have perception, I am living. When perception is not there, I am not living. And the third person told that's omnipotent God is there. He is creating the perception, and he removed the perception. And the fourth person told, no, not the omnipotent God, but there are some very powerful meditators. They can influence into the other's mind. And they can put perception and they can remove perception. So would you, Bhante, please give your opinion? Then the Buddha says, I first and foremost remove this no reason or ad hoc, that is not. And then he says, I doubt whether you can follow it. The only thing you can do is, whenever such a perception happens, replace it with the subtle perception. And then replace that subtle perception with the subtlest perception. And then Buddha is giving a series of work. Whenever you understand this perception, don't dwell upon that. Don't go on fabrication. Don't go storytelling, just bring the attention to your sitting posture. That's the end of the story. But bringing the attention to the body is not the Nibbana. Whenever you bring the attention to the body, you find it is out of 4 elements. At a time, only one element is prominent. Give the attention to only the prominent element. And when and where that prominent element is isolated, delimited, recognized, and you see it is changing. And one day you will see that element also gone. That means your perception is become subtle and subtle and subtle and subtle. So that is the way you can go to the sanyaga, the point where you cannot feel anything. You cannot perceive anything. No cognition, no recognition. And that is called child mind, child psychology. Things are happening, you can't label it. You are not labeling. So there is no tension, no frustration, no storytelling, no fabrication, no prapancha. And then the Buddha is taking, and still Potthapada was utterly confused. So he said goodbye and go home. After 3 days' time, his assistant said, please Potthapada, visit Buddha. He will give the balance of it. So he gave the second visit. And there, Buddha is not teaching to the Potthapada, but to his assistant. He was a smart guy. And now we got the Potthapada Sutta in Digha Nikaya. If you wish to learn the perception very nicely, it's like chopping a red onion or Bombay onion, very thin slices. and you can read it. And you can see how mad we are. The perception world is mad world. Everything is mayopubbangama, manosetta, manova. It's a mind made. And my mind made thing is not really equal to the next person. So we are fighting. We don't know we are living in a perception. So therefore, first you have to delimit yourself and just see how that ceases to exist. And there, whenever the perception ceases to exist, your world ceases to exist, your suffering ceases to exist, your confusion ceases to exist, your connection with the other world ceases to exist. So if you wish to have engagement, go for perception. If you wish to have a disentanglement, solitude, do away with perception. Then your liberation is just under your nose. But if you wish to go for fabrication, masters, you will get Nobel Prize, you will get the Magsaysay Prize, you will get the this and that prize for the writings and everything. But to say sorry, you miss the bus. You miss your simplicity. You miss your mindfulness. So therefore, take care about the perception. Oh, it is not the only thing. Feelings also another kind. Volition also another kind. But this kind of question could be answered through the perception and master the perception by replacing it by the subtle one. Because directly you can't do away with it. It is absolutism. Replace it one after the other. So you will see known to unknown, somebody to nobody, explainable to unexplainable, and the problem dissolve. Temporarily, of course. Later you can reiterate it and master it. If you feel it is the way, it is up to you.
Dear Venerable Bhante, thank you for a wonderful retreat. Just reporting my meditation practice this week. I focus on my breath, rising and falling. My focal point is the touch of the breath at the bottom of the nose, at the top of the lip. Gradually my thoughts lessen over time and I become calmer in my mind. While I am doing this, I also note the touching, hearing sensations that are occurring externally as I watch my breath internally. Eventually, I usually begin to see light in my mind's eye. The light appearing has fuzzy edges. Sometimes there are blue speckles in the center. Also there are darker blobs in the light image that I can see. It feels pleasant. In the past, I go in deeper into the light image. And from there, I begin to experience the assumptions, then absorptions, then sukha happens. I feel happy. It is a very pleasant experience in meditation. But now I'm staying at the point of seeing the light image but not being drawn into it. I stay there watching but keeping my focus on the breath, rising and falling. At times I lose the primary object but come back to it again. I note my sensory experiences, hearing, smelling, touching sensations on the cushion, and I try to label it, such as hearing, and so on. Sometimes I arrive at a point where I can step back and just be the hearing, touching, breathing, and be observing of that. But that does not always happen. Over time, the light image vanishes and I keep watching my breath rising and falling. I'm wondering if I should be doing anything else at this point or should I change what I'm doing in any way? With deepest gratitude and metta.
Yeah, just before the mentioning of the light, it mentioned that I see internal phenomena and external phenomena. And when it is happening, it's an invitation you to see what is the boundary between me and not me. There is no such a thing. It's just mere perception. You call internal, that's your own jurisdiction. When you external, what is the boundary? No boundary. So that is the point. If you wish, you can just spread to the cosmic energy and you lose all the friction, you lose the suffering, you lose your whole identity, nothing. But then you will fear. Then you come back. When you come, soon boundary happen, frustration happen, tension happen, me and not me happen, storytelling happens. So that is the point where light is happening. So they are traps. In order to not to maintain the trend, the light, sounds, pressure, rapture, lightness, everything can happen. All these things are distractions. So if you carried away by them, that means your objective is not Nibbana, you have cheap objectives. If you have cheap objectives, you will get into the whirlpool and you will be smashed. So you have to understand, don't let these things to happen, just be aware that I am with the internal and external thing, or I am with the primary object. So then story can happen in a sequential way. If you are changing the subject, if you are changing this thing, that you will be ever in a whirlpool like. But anyway, this happen in a very advanced stage of meditation, not in the very low level. So therefore there is no defilement as such. It's a wastage of time. If I am to quote to Pandita Sayadaw, he says if you are searching each and everything analytical, it's a wastage of time. You can't help. If you wish to go into and tap each and every door, you can take time. But it's a wastage of time. So therefore, understand at that time, so much of things are happening. So you must have the focal point. You must have your pivotal point and then adhere to that. Very difficult. It is like a driving in Sri Lankan roads. So the tuk-tuk come this way, bikes come that way, animals going this way, and female go this way, male go this way, honking this way, and you get bewilderment. So you need no any internationalization. You get naturally become international when you're driving in Sri Lanka. So likewise, everything cross to check whether you have any minuous objectives, short objectives. If it is so, you will be carried away. So the day you feel enough, you will just maintain. Now light happen, lightness happen, calmness happen, pleasure happen, rapture happen. But they are just, how can I say, it is like cheating you. You're guiding you outside. So be aware. It is happening not for the beginners, it is happening for the fairly advanced yogis. So therefore at the beginning you must go prepared. I am not compromising for these cheap things. Let them come, it's of course a good sign. But you will be secured if you are not anchoring over there. If you are not thinking and analyzing, then you can go. So therefore, after a certain amount of experimenting, you will made up your mind at the beginning. When I am progressing, so much of thing can happen. So you must know how to drive without engaging with these cross currents. And exactly the same thing when you are living in the society. So much of people bring so much of proposals, so much of opinions, and very difficult to keep the mind. So I put it in simple way, be mindful, mind your own business. So it's little harsh. Mind your own business. Don't carry it away. Don't let the people to carry you away by the thinking and this thing. And if it is so, don't find fault with them. It is your utter weakness, your utter foolishness. Your object is you with the so-called objectives. That is how you get succumb to this kind of situation. So imagine the day you keep your track only with the main thing, there's so much of personality, so much of immunity, so much of commandment, mastery happens. So it happens by trial and error. There is no other way. So this is a very dramatic age. Make up your mind, let the light happen, let the lightness happen, whatever may be, you try to keep with your primary object or your bodily posture and keep an eye view with the something verifiable rather than conceptual.
Walking meditation. I will start. Venerable Bhante, thanks for listening and sorry for my English. Sitting meditation.
Thanks for listening.
And sorry for my English.
So I thought my English is much weaker than you people, so they are also telling sorry.
Sitting meditation. I start the session relaxing the entire body. Then once I was sure that I was sitting, I start to put attention only on the in and out breath. After a while, drowsiness comes and I become unconscious or sleepy. Then when consciousness comes again, I immediately focus on breathing. The first in-breath was strong and deep. The out-breath was gentle and normal length. I start again observing in-out breath and counting. When concentration becomes solid, the counting disappears. I enter in a very pleasant state in which equanimity and acceptance of everything that comes dominates. Every in and out breath, the body becomes more and more relaxed and feels good, and there is no more owner, and breath and body become two separate things. After a while, leg pain captures my attention, and I miss the beauty of being present without judgment. The second part is on walking meditation.
So the first part is that it is good that you have recognized soon after the wandering or soon after the unconscious, the mind is come back to a primary object. You can easily anchor there and you can see the short and gross in-breath, out-breath, and then become subtle. So before going to the wandering or unconscious, you are mindful. After the wandering and unconscious, you are mindful. So that means that in between there is no defilements. So let the mind to send kites, no problem. Soon when you go outside, see way back to the home, way back to the primary object. If you can come and easily get into the primary object, you can see mindfulness is more stronger than any defilement on the earth. Let the defilement to play hell, no problem. Bring the attention back to the primary object. That is, I call you a human right. If you are not using it, it is sorry. No, don't expect the mind to not to wander off. That is nature of the mind. The whole thing, whole point in meditation is wherever it is wandered, wherever it is bewildered, if you know the way back home, you are under the protection of Dhamma. So more you wander, more you reiterate, more you reconfirm, I can come home. When I come home, no problem. So that is the beauty of our body. Our breath and our body never reject us. Whatever the bad thing we are doing. So whenever it come back, body is ready to accept. Breath is ready to accept. So this is what we earn according to the Buddhist literature for the merits of the last life. We got a human body. Let the mind send kites, no problem. Bring it back. Again bring it back. And the children find easier. I don't know how it is. One professor told when I was in Oslo, he is a psychiatrist. He says, I often goes to play with my grandchildren. So sometimes he is talking about mindfulness. I become unmindful. Children easily bring me back to the here and now. Just by play. Even though I am a professor, I don't know. They know that I am not here. Say pull the grandfather by a joke to the present moment. Because they are ever in present. Children always in the present. You can't pull it aside. So if you have any absent-mindedness, unmindfulness, just look at a child. Or otherwise look at a cat. It's so simple. So with so much of fight, after 3 years I got down a cat. Now it is roaming around, no rats. These ladies are making so much of fuss about the rat. I told, what about the cat? They told, no, rat phobia, now cat phobia. No, if you look at the cat, it's so relaxed. Even while behind the rat, it's still relaxed. And look at a child. Look at a fish. So mind is always ready to come back. So next time also, report exactly what was the secondary object. When did you come to know that you are not in the primary object? How difficult it to come to the primary object? When you come to the primary object, is it disturbed? Or you can easily get into that. So that is the way. That is what you call resilience. That's what you call the maturity in our meditation. If quicker the comeback, less the impact. So you can see our human body and our breath is always ready to accept the way back home. And we entertain how difficult to get the human life. How difficult to get the present moment. Dullabha khana sampatti, dullabha manusatta patilabho. This is the meaning. Not that mind is going outside, it's always going out, no problem. If you know where to come. Imagine if you are not a meditator, you don't know where to bring it. That is that's the sorry thing. Meditators, at least they can fight, they know where to bring. They know where their pivotal point. They know their reference point. That is everything we earn in our whole meditative life. So respect that pivotal point, respect that critical point, respect your primary object. And more you bring it here, you develop your own confidence, personality. So we'll go to the second part.
Venerable Bhante, walking meditation. I start the session putting awareness on the entire body, then starting with the intention of moving the left foot. Then for a while the tension is on left, right, fast speed. I was able to concentrate on 100 and more footsteps. During this time, thoughts and obstructions of the environment, thoughts and distractions of the environment comes, but I am keeping concentration on the feet. I don't allow them to grow. Sometimes during the session arise the feeling of doubt to walk back and forward for a long time on the same path. So I start to focus my attention on more than one object. For example, counting, feeling, colors. Then I feel just the body walking without an owner. What's better, focusing only on one object or more object? Question. Once you awaken, what really changes? May all living beings be free from samsara soon.
So whenever you are free, all beings are free. Mind your own business. So simple. It has some limitations. Otherwise, if you are waiting till all the blade of grass to be enlightened, I mean, it's a very good idea, very difficult. So therefore, mind your own business. Whenever you are free, at least your distraction to the other beings become free. That's the maximum we can do. Don't be a burden to someone. Don't exploit others. Our whole life is exploitation. Our whole life is a burden to the Mother Earth. The moment you become self-sufficient, you are not distracting. So that's the maximum we can do. So therefore, while walking, you can see, you can walk without noting. You can let the body to walk, that is called body knowledge. That's the best. That's the most graceful walking. Not like the ladies going with the bikinis in the pageants, beauty pageants. They walk in a colorful way. Occasionally I look at them, that is bad. But you see when the children walking on the walking path, that's the most beautiful because it's naturally happening. You are thoroughly connected with Mother Earth. Communication is happening. So for that, you must withdraw yourself. Let the body to do it. So how much familiarization you need, how much repetitive application you need, just body to let it be, let walk. In Sinhala, we call Pinipavada pita bimmal kodiyata kadiyek yanwa rajek wage. Simple as that. So people are making so much of complicated questions out of walking meditation. Just walk. Just walk. So then you feel, here now I am walking. And when the children are teaching it, so it is like a poem. They know how to teach you. So simple. When I am teaching, I take at least 40 minutes to give a guided meditation for walking meditation. Children teach within 4 minutes. Today at 3 o'clock, we are going to have Satipasala. If you wish, just in the downstairs, just go and see. And they will be very happy to teach you, but they can only speak Sinhala. And they are waiting someone comes to teach because they are overflowing with the present moment. So you also become like a child when walking happens naturally. So that day, that moment, you are liberated. But how to maintain this thought moment for longer time, you need common sense. So in a retreat, we are not worried about this maintenance. We are just introducing. You are already liberated. You don't know. Please make sure and then live in such a way, just give liberation to flow, flourish. Don't put formulas into your mind. Don't go for analysis, but instead repetitively apply your mind to the practice. Ultimately, the practice will solve your all doubts and easily you reach the least frictional path and the comfort zone. And there you find the arising of the Buddha is a blessing. We'll go to the next question.
Venerable Swamin Wahansa, sitting meditation, once the emptiness is experienced, to overcome the utter boredom that persists, I decided to see if I could catch thoughts just as they arise. I realized when my mindfulness is sharp, thoughts don't seem to surface. But when the mindfulness dwindles, thoughts slowly come to be. Sometimes I am able to catch them, then they seem to disappear in that instant itself. But sometimes I miss them, and I am able to spot them only after a while. This whole process seems like a cat and mouse game. I tried to verify if I was mindful amidst the sequence of thoughts that arise, but I have been unable to come to a conclusion on it. I have been so far unsuccessful in catching a thought the instant it had arisen. Please let me know if what I have been doing is appropriate. Theruvan Saranai.
At the beginning it says that when the thoughtless situation, objectless situation happens, the boredom sets in. So, best thing is you have to go prepared for that. We have a fear of freedom. We have the fear of unknown. It is called neophobia. So whenever nothing is there, you develop kind of uncertainty, entertaining doubts and giddiness and everything. Boredom is also accompanying. All are hate-based shades of mind. So when you go prepared, you can be with this boredom and little longer you can be with nothingness. And there you can see mind is waiting till the thought happens, waiting for feelings to happen, waiting for sounds to happen. Because mind feels lonely. Mind do not know how to entertain aloneness. So therefore it is waiting, things happen. Don't worry whether you catch it at the beginning or middle and end it. Just forget about it. See, the thoughtless situation is at home. This is my second nature. They can come. If you are going to catch it, they will stay. If you ignore, they will come and disappear in the same way. But you must understand, being in this present moment is boring because of your fear. So if you learn theoretically the fear of freedom, the neophobia, that's why we make society. That's why we make the culture. That's why we make music. That's why we make literature. Everything to keep us busy. Because we hate solitude. We hate contentment. We hate relaxation. Then we become just citizen John. We want to make somewhat important. So to be important, you must have all the complications. So therefore, mind is now in between to be one somebody or nobody. So can that transpersonal psychology accommodate it? At times you are somebody, at times you are nobody. They are not contradictory. Please remember, they are complementary. For the beginner, they are contradictory. For the advanced yogi, it's a complementary. The nobody means somebody. So, just accommodate it. Just accommodate means don't react. Don't be judgmental. At times you feel nothing. At times you are waiting for thought, waiting for sound, waiting for something. That is because of your loneliness. And what will happen if you go prepared for aloneness? Don't let mind to label it as loneliness. Loneliness is psychiatric situation. Aloneness is spiritual achievement. Exactly the same thing, two labels. Exactly the same person, change the label, at the beginning loneliness, ultimately become aloneness. So that is what we call the patipada, becoming an enlightened being. So it is up to you to claim yourself as an enlightened being, or you claim yourself as a bloody idiot. So without any kind of a training, no one is going to come, whatever you suggest, no one to second. Please keep on trying. Only thing is go prepared. That is a simple answer.
Venerable Bhante, sometimes during sitting meditation, I observe the prominent thought, sound, pain, etc., than the primary object, being breath. This happens usually after I wander away and regain awareness. Then my focus is on what becomes prominent. I only come back to breath when I remember the primary object after a long time of being aware of other things than breath. Please note that I can feel the breath if I want to, and the feeling of breath hasn't faded. Please advise me. Thank you.
So when you are observing the stars appearing in the dusk and the disappearing in the morning, all of a sudden you see a star, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, many, and appear like they are starting. They are not starting, they are always there. When the light is more, they disappear. When the light is not there, it is becoming prominent. Likewise, thoughts are all the time there. Pain is throughout there. Sounds are throughout there. What you pick indicate how sick you are. What is your sickness? What your selection is a natural selection. It is called a blink. Out of many you select something that is according to your habituation, That is because of your likings and disliking. That is because of your directed dispositions. And soon it's selected, every other becomes null and void. And you start stories with what you selected. Instead, there is another opportunity for you to select another one. If it is happening, this one becomes null and void. So what a coincidence. What a kind of a pick or trial and error. To indicate, there's one person is writing, when my father was young, he was traveling in Russia and he got down from the train and all the restaurants are closed. So he was so bewildered. While running, there was one restaurant is closing and that lady was rushing to close and go. Somehow the other father maintained to tell her, please, please, give me a room. She told, I'm sorry, you would have closed 15 minutes before, now no chance. So while he was pleading, that lady prepared a room, and that was my mother. This is a coincidence. So you born due to your sex of your parents. There is no relationship. And your father select the mother, not by a sequential thing. Things are happening. And then you are making so much of stories. Exactly the thought can happen and marry you. Pain can happen and marry you. And the sound can happen and marry you. So much of children. So you have to understand all the three are always available. What you select is a kind of a thing. It's called natural selection. And Malcolm Gladwell, is writing and books and give talks about these momentary things and how much we are making stories out of that. So therefore let them happen. Arising of the thoughts, arising of the pain sounds, and in behind you have nothingness. Then don't claim I am nothingness or don't claim I am arising thoughts. They are opportunities. They are possibilities. Each and everyone has the equal possibility, but we are rushing to pick one. Once you pick, you collapse. Imagine if you are not picking it, you are the king. So that is what you call the patience. Let the opportunities to be open, but don't choose it. Don't rush to a decision. Equally suspended attention, make with the full opportunity without selecting. We can't do it unless otherwise you pick something. So picking is almost like seconding a suggestion coming in the society. If it is not seconded, that will not null and void, it will never go to minutes. So you are the bloody fool picking. Then you have to suffer the loss. So wait without picking, wait without judging, wait without selecting something. So that is how I saved my life. I never selected the girl. Still I love girls. Because I don't selected one. If I selected, my wife would have hated me that I love girls. So since I am unmarried, it's a registered bachelor, so I always keep good relationship with females. So everyone says, don't do Bhante, it is very dangerous. But it is not dangerous because I am not selecting someone. Associate equally. Very jolly good life. They are taking care about and do everything for me. So I have to be little compassionate, but take care not to select someone. Soon I select, I have to go to divorce, not for the marriage. So therefore let everything come. Once you selected no object like my mental situation that you are very better off. With respect to that, let things that how things are, how they are pulling our attention. 1001. Whatever you select, you become a fool. But still, you can entertain it if you know that I am doing a foolish thing. That is a very, very happy, jolly good thing. I know I am engaged in something. I know it is a problem. Never mind. So therefore, meditator is such a person that no one can size it. Do as you like, but you know this is something not done, but I am doing. To see how much the resilience is. That is noble quest. So therefore, don't worry whether you have not seen the beginning of the thought. You know, mind is now about to see the beginning of the thought. It will happen. Main thing is, you must have the background where are no thoughts, no objects. And you know that is my second nature. I can take refuge of that and I can see the rest of the world and let them play. Don't select something. And only one time you have to do it. Later it will be your habitual thing. So bound to see, you are going to, bound to see this freedom. This is not yet, this is now preparing. whenever it happens, you see, if you are going to work with this electricity, put a hand glove, rubber glove, no problem. So this no object situation is like a hand glove, still you can tackle the live wire, nothing happen. Okay? So you are sitting in the darkest place in this room. Come here, will you? Can you see?
Me?
Yes.
I'm fine.
You can read?
I am more comfortable here, that's why.
I comfort, but you are staggering in reading because I thought that you are not light enough light.
No, Roy Wold, Swami once said,
So come to here to become young.
More than the light, it's the spine I have to look after.
Here the same spine. Never mind.
Gauravaniya Swamin Wahansa, I have a question on meditation and reporting. When I meditate and subsequently recall the experience to report, I remember how the primary object felt and other experiences different to usual experience. But if I ask the question while walking meditation, how do you know that you are walking? How do you verify from myself? I notice how knees and ankles move, the feeling of them touching the skirt, the change in peripheral vision, the sound of fan from far and near, sounds of nature as I move close to a window, etc., in addition to the feeling of choir mat on the soles of my feet. Of course, I am consciously thinking while asking and answering the questions. It is similar with sitting meditation. When I ask the question, how do you know that you are sitting? How do you verify the breath? I tend to notice more details, such as legs and buttocks touching the floor or cushion, the out-breath on the upper lip, still and erect upper body, etc. If I only focus on the primary object, I don't notice the details already present. Please advise whether this conscious thinking in Q&A method is beneficial to practice, or should I naturally observe the details without prompting the mind to look for details in finding answers to questions. 2. I still cannot view all experiences as the same. You mentioned that writing negative experiences is fertilizing them. When negative experiences happen, how should I report? Just mention them without details or not mention at all? 3. Bhante, you told us that reporting helps to understand who am I and see progress. I can see myself reflecting on the experience and learning, which will be missed out if I didn't write. Should all meditation sessions be reported? If so, should it be immediately after practice? If not, how frequent or when do you advise to report? Thank you. May the noble triple gem bless you.
So to start with the number 3, after each and every sitting, after every walking, write 2 sentences, conclusive sentences. And before the next question and answer session, see the best sitting, best remark, just report that. At the end of it, if any negative thing happen, do it in brief form. Report the most detailed, most happy, most juicy, most tasteful experience that will indicate cross-section about your progress. And the first question, whenever you try to verify walking, you see so much of criterion you can see. That means detail of the objects. And within single objects also so much of details. More you go detail, everything become a flux. Everything become more moving. Everything becoming otherwise. So more you see close, the impermanent nature naturally expressing by itself, rather than you are looking at a distance. Now you get a very close observation. So then quantity and quality increases, mind get fully engaged, so details are natural. And report it in such a way, whatever the thing encouraging you to go there. So therefore this reporting system is called Sakaccha in Pali. Sakaccha Anugayata, if it is not there, you can't communicate. We have 3 kinds of enlightenment. As a Buddha, that's my disciples. Pacceka Buddha, the Buddha is mute, no speaking. And Samma Sambuddha, he can communicate. The communicating Buddha is Gautama the Buddha, is doing so much of helps. But there were a lot of Pacceka Buddha, they can't communicate. No use. He is enlightened. He is self-enlightened. But he can't convince others. So their service is, compared to the external sasana, almost nothing. But the Buddha becomes Samma Sambuddha, he can communicate, that is the spark happens, that is how we can get benefited. So it is due to the discourses. So therefore, discourses is not for the enlightenment of the Buddha. Buddha already enlightened. By discourse he is spreading it. So we are also doing the same as much as possible in the discussion. So more you discuss, more the progress. That's why we decided this common discussion. Otherwise I have to give 5 minutes for each person. There won't be end. That was the beginning. At the 6 retreats we did only with the individual. Everyone was happy. But we decided unwillingly go for open discussion. I think it is much better. Everyone can take part. And we are sharing each other. And no two questions different. Each and every question is the same. Each and every question is the same. So just take part. Even you are not asking, even you are writing, your question is being answered. So it's a kind of a blessing. So writing is kind of a sacrification, I know. But without that you can't understand who you are. So do it and you may get it. Otherwise you are by listening itself is happening. So this discussion is like a removal of the grass or weeds in a farm. Otherwise grass and this thing, weeds are sucking all the fertilizer and go waste. So you have to remove them. Once removed, the crop will get the ground cover, then the highest amount of yield. That's why we agriculturists are being trained. While the plants are growing, pick all unwanted weeds and this thing, then your crop will be fertilizing. Will be proliferating. So therefore writing is good. So this report is good.
Venerable Swamin Wahansa, I am writing of my experience of the 5th day of the retreat, which was yesterday. The first 4 days of meditation were for me filled with an awe and gratitude towards the moment I was experiencing, towards each moment I was experiencing, just being glad for some reason, Pollyanna style. I must thank you for your constant reference to this book. The first 4 days, Kama Tanha were quite effectively submerged, and neither Kama Chanda, lust, nor Vyapada, hatred, were overtly present. Pondering on this while being mindful of the thoughts that were arising, I wondered if my personality type seemed to be more Uddacha Kukucha. As you said, we first need to understand ourselves as someone in order to proceed to comprehend being no one. However, by the 5th day, I could perceive that the state of mind had rather significantly changed. There was what I can only describe as a strong pullback to the usual lay life familiar to us, as if the mind and body were suddenly straining with all their might to go back to their known territory. Irritation began to occur at minute things which had previously no impact on my state of mind. Mental images, projections and sounds of everyday lay life began to flood the mind more regularly, overpowering and sometimes clouding the primary object. I could note Kama Chanda appearing stronger with an increasing desire to go back, which also aggravated irritability. Future projections of things to be attended to once returned from the retreat. Perceptions of well-liked sounds, smells, images prevailed. I attempted to watch all these things, all these thoughts or states of mind, and accept their passing, transient nature. But irritability persisted, resulting in less spiritual tranquility. Most of yesterday passed thus. Today I find it easier again to focus on the primary and secondary objects. The primary object being sitting with in and out breath at the nostrils and walking, soles touching the ground. And to also be mindful of thoughts without much irritation. It is fascinating how a switch seemed to happen to a more Kamachanda or Vyapada-based personality just when I had thought these were more submerged in me. Seeking your guidance, Venerable Bhante, Theruvan Saranai.
So that this is happening in a cyclic way, just like a bed spring. There's a big cycle and then turning and coming to the pinnacle like. So by one circle nothing happens. You are repeating the same. More you repeat, more you go higher, more come to the center. So imagine a pyramid like bed spring, and this is how the evolution takes place. So yesterday you drop Kamachanda, at the higher level again you assume Kamachanda. But still you get kind of a distance. And you have to understand next day again it may come. So likewise everything we are dropping, everything we are accumulating. Everything we are dropping, everything we are accumulating. Each time it happens you get a distance. It's like when you are trying for your grade 2 exam as a child of age 5-6, it's a big thing. But when your child is trying for the grade 2 exam, of course you will take care, but it is not much a big thing which you have done, but it is you are helping your child. Likewise, everything happening in a cyclic way, but your perspective is changing. So that is the way we are living our life. We are not a slave to the life. We are learning it, but don't expect by one dream the night is going to over. No, 1001 dreams. So same thing happen again. Don't expect not to happen, but when you happen, it's your little distance. And when it happen again, it's still distance. So this is the patience you need in the Patipada, and you have to be very innocent. You have to be very straightforward. Don't try to be smart by looking at one thing to get mastery. No, it is happening again and again. Go prepare. So we have already taken 15 minutes more. How many more questions?
3.
Only one we will take.
Venerable Bhante, from what I have gathered so far, insight meditation and access concentration meditation, samatha, can both begin with anapanasati. Where does the distinction happen in practice? Please explain. Theruvan Saranai.
So these terminologies are not much scientific. We'll say that you are coming to the first time to the retreat. So you have to come to the Nissarana Vanaya. So you will come to the junction and ask, where's the Nissarana Vanaya? They will tell, take this path, come about 1 kilometer. And when you come there, there's another board other side, there's a board here, this side. And you don't know which one is Nissarana Vanaya. Imagine you can't read or language is not. Then when you come to this side and go to the office and ask, is this Nissarana Vanaya? So coming to the gate, if they yes, you are already in Nissarana Vanaya. But you see, come into the house, getting the familiarization and detail, then only you enter into Nissarana Vanaya. So coming to the periphery, coming to the lawn is called upachara. You have sorted it out, but you are not entered into. Once you enter into, you come with a 3-story building, toilet is there, kitchen is there. Every detail, that is what you entered. So that is the access concentration and jhanic concentration. So these are just examples given. So you may find your own way of explaining. So both enough for vipassana. Coming to the Nissarana Vanaya means even come to the lawn itself is enough. Even whether you come and get registration, nothing. Even without getting enter into, that is enough. That is the thing I just wanted to mention, that is written by Venerable Buddhaghosa. And so be happy, you know your primary object. You have come closer to the primary object, anytime you can get into. So that kind of a thing is a blessing, that's an endowment. So we are going to stop it because that we need time for walking. And you may keep the balance for the tomorrow, and that will be the starting point. So thank you very much for the participation. This is the end of our question and answer session.